Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Pro Engineering. As you can tell by the thumbnail for this video, my project here is going to be to take I don't even want to say a toy grade because it's not even an RC car. It's not even close to being an RC car. What it is, well, whatever you would call this. Battery-powered, spinny, bump and go mystery... Okay, I'm sorry. That's fantastic. Mystery action. Mazda RX7. Now, the problem with this video, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time, is the box is empty. And that is because I started this project years ago. And I thought I had footage, but I can't find it, and it's just not there. For this video, we do pick up at a pretty good spot. We pick up where we start the bodywork on the car, which I think is a good point. But what I do have in here is what's left of the chassis. What you can see here is 4 wheels, and what used to be down here was a main wheel that would basically prop the car up with the front end in the air slightly, and it would just rotate this wheel and the car would bump into things. This was the only driving force, as all the others are just sitting there kind of idle doing nothing. It did run on 4D batteries. There was a siren on the top, driven by this really cool mechanism here. So basically it spun this shaft here, and this is the same shaft that rotated the gear train to spin this little mechanism down here. But the shaft basically spun. It spun this little spring mechanism, and that's what rotated the light. I'll try and see if I can do that. There's just too much friction in the system. Yeah, I can't get it to budge at all. Needless to say, it didn't do very much. One of the things it did do was open and close the headlights. There were operational headlights. There were operational front marker lights. That thing would light up, but that's it. No taillights or anything like that. I have a sentimental attachment to this, as what you're looking at here is a birthday present when I turned 4 years old. I remember getting this car and immediately being upset when I found out how the thing behaved. In fact, the reason this mechanism is missing is because I took it off probably when I was 6 or 7 years old, because I wanted the car to at least roll on all 4 tires, which it did at that point. The thing is, all these years, I always had this car sitting there, always looking at it saying, one day I'm going to turn this into an outstanding RC car, and that day has finally come. This car turns out sensational. At the end of this video, we're going to stop when the bodywork is done, but I will have to admit this was a very difficult build. However, the way this car turns out, I couldn't have imagined it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, I apologize that we're not seeing the car in a little bit of an earlier state. But before I let you go, I do want to show you how I got the chassis to work. In an earlier video, I did something quite similar to this car. This is, actually, come to think of it, I think it's almost identical. It's the same kind of deal where the car would rotate in a circle and do nonsense. For this, I used an M01 chassis with this significant stretched out section here, and a bottom accessible battery door so that the body doesn't have to come off. The exact same methodology took place with the Mazda as well, except it's a much shorter chassis, and I kept that one rear-wheel drive. You'll see the battery door is much smaller, and that's simply because I use fairly small batteries in here anyway. There is a series of linkages here on the side that can slide slightly forward and back, up and down, and outward and inward, and that's just to refine the actual placement of the body. Each axis has less than 5 millimeters of travel, but that's always enough because I can usually get the accuracy down to that pretty well. So that's how the chassis is attached to the body. And like this car, the front bumper and rear bumper are part of the chassis. Not the whole bumper, but a portion of it. So I've cut it off the rear, cut it off the front, and reattached those to the body. So without further ado, let's pick up doing some body work. Now that the body is mounted to the chassis, that is one hurdle that we've overcome. That looks really good. The next thing we have to do is patch all the holes in the body, and there's quite a few. Got the giant hole on the roof for the light. We're gonna have 2 big holes here for these mirrors. This was a loudspeaker that we took off. Then there's the challenge of fixing the glass. So this is cracked. My plan here is to heavily epoxy it on the rear with a big doubler and then sand it on the front and paint the entire glass in gloss black with the molding here in flat black, so we'll get a nice contrast. But another thing that we have to do is fix the taillight. These taillights are not correct. They are far too large for what the Mazda originally had. So what I have done is created these little pieces here. This is the taillight, and this piece on top is a filler. So I'm gonna go ahead and just snap that off, and then we're gonna snap that off and the taillight. Theoretically, this will be glued in there. It fits okay. Actually fits, oh, you know what's wrong? This little piece is in the way. So that'll go like that, and that will fill the hole. Thing is that gonna fit? Oh yeah, it is gonna fit. Okay, cool. It's gonna be a little snug in there. Just make sure if all this stuff fits. No. Let's see here. Actually, that fits fine. Well, it fits better than I thought it was going to. And this will go right on top. Yeah, we have to just sand it just a tad to get it to fit. In fact, what we're probably gonna do, actually look at this. It's the body molding that's crooked. There's a big gap there. It's tight in the middle and there's a gap right there. So the plan is get that all seated, glue that top piece in place, remove the taillight, and then this will be painted to match the body color, and you will never have known that the giant taillight was ever there. Front will be the exact same way. We've got this turn signal that will slot right in here. And then there is our side marker that we'll have to cut out. Then these headlights are a disaster. As you can tell, they're not aiming forward. So I've recreated this little black piece in the hopes that I can aim it down a bit more and then perhaps have these angled like that. Got our headlight bulbs there, and the finishing piece, of course, is going to be the emblems. So I'm going to freehand this. I apologize. We've got the filler plate in there, and then the taillight will just slide in right underneath it. And this will give the correct size taillight that the Mazda should have had in the first place. Now this has been all filled in with super glue, and we'll give it a little bit of sanding, and then we can go ahead and just fill in any slight imperfections with Tamiya putty. I also want to go ahead and peel off all the stickers. We're not going to go with a police theme on this. Stickers are off, and that was horrible. You can see there's still tons of adhesive, but we can go ahead and get that off later with some shoe glue. I'm gonna go ahead and bond some piece of styrene to the back of this, patch this whole thing, and take off those little tabs right there. The window should come out with 4 screws, but again, I want to patch that before I take the window out. We'll do the same with all of these side moldings here. There's quite a few heat stakes that are sticking through there, and I want to pull all of those out because these moldings will look really clean painted separately. The body work is just about done. I saw a couple of little dimples in here, so I touched that up. Gotta sand it down, but otherwise this is all repaired. That is just about a tube of super glue right there. The hood had a bunch of little nicks and imperfections. There's one right there as well. That's all been repaired. The little crack has been repaired. Most importantly, the giant hole in the roof, completely unnoticeable. You can see all the styrene underneath. The taillights have now been properly done with the smaller size units with a little filler panel right there. All the decals removed. There's a lot of sink back here, a whole bunch of little imperfections. That's all been patched. See the roof, all these little stripes. That's from scraping off the adhesive. That's all been done. The last thing I have to do is cut out the side marker and replace them with these little side markers right here. So we'll need a 3mm high rectangular slot by about 6 or 7 millimeters wide, and then this all has to be ground smooth. So let's do that next. The hole or slot, you can see it right there on the back side, is in, and the light drops right in there. Now we're going to paint the RX7 with this Testors Extreme Lacquer. This is diamond dust. Basically it's silver. I want to use this as a primer. So that's what we'll do. The entire car has been completely wet sanded with 2000 grit sandpaper and water, so we've got a pretty smooth surface, but this silver will help to show where we've messed up. I'll do my best in recording at least some of this. Basically just want the car one color. Wow, I can see, I'll be damned, I can see where the repair on the roof was. I didn't think I would be able to. Wow, that's a bummer. Can you see that? Yeah, right there. That was, I thought, going to be completely invisible, and it's simply not. Well, thank you, silver. Paint job revealed some trouble spots, so you can see a lot more bodywork was onto the top. Same to the spotlight area, a little bit to the front, a little bit here, and I found a little run here, and that was a run in the actual original paint job. So now I'll give it one more coat of primer, and then it's ready for its base coat. Well, with lots of bodywork done and the entire car fully color sanded, it's ready for our lacquer. Again, I'll do my best here. Just note I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at the important thing here, no offense. I meant to show you the windshield as well. That's all been color sanded, patched here at the back. This is a Tamiya primer. We want to fill in all the sanding marks. I tried to get them out with 2000, but there's still a lot of them in there. And yeah, it'll be opaque and black, and then we'll mask off the moldings in the back and paint those a different color. Quick thing here, I painted the areas where the hatch hardware is in a metallic black. That's all been masked, and now I'll paint the windows all black. You can see here at the front where the repair was, that little dark spot is just the result of me color sanding.